My name is Lori Stewart, and I was 29 years old the night my family finally stopped pretending. I've never felt rage like that in my life. Not when my older sister totaled my car and laughed about it. Not when my mother opened a credit card in my name when I was 19. Not even when my father told me I should toughen up after I got laid off during the pandemic. No, it was that dinner. Something didn't explode inside me that night. It didn't shatter or scream. It hardened, slowly, quietly, with a kind of final clarity that made everything else fall into place. They chose Bianchi. They always do. Not because the food is good. It isn't. But because the place looks expensive. White tablecloths, imported olive oil, menu items no one pronounces correctly. It's the kind of restaurant my parents like because it makes them feel successful just by sitting there. I arrived on time. I always arrive on time. I even dressed nicely, which feels humiliating to admit now, because some small, naive part of me believed this might be different, that maybe they just wanted a calm family dinner, a moment without tension, without transactions. Everyone was already there. My mom stood and kissed my cheek like she hadn't ignored 3 of my calls the week before. My sister barely glanced up from her phone. My brother gave me a nod, the kind coworkers exchange in hallways. And my dad offered that tight smile he uses when he's about to say something cruel but hasn't decided how blunt he wants to be. Dinner started normally enough. Bread, wine, complaints about airport security, even though they weren't flying for another 24 hours. My brother joked about his trainer. I laughed. Actually laughed. For a brief moment, it almost felt like family. Then the shift came. You can feel it when a room changes, like pressure dropping, like a held breath. My mom waited until the pasta arrived. I'd just taken my first bite when she set her fork down, looked directly at my sister, and said casually, "It's for the ones who actually contribute." Silence. No one reacted, not right away. Then my sister smirked, not even subtle. My brother kept scrolling, but his shoulders stiffened. My dad wiped his mouth slowly, as if this was just another Wednesday night. "Be glad we even mentioned it to you," my sister added. She didn't look at me when she said it. She didn't have to. The message was already clear. It was all rehearsed. I set my fork down. My hands were steady, which surprised me. "Thanks for the honesty," I said. And I meant it. Not because I appreciated it, but because they'd finally said out loud what they'd been implying for years. I wasn't family, I was infrastructure. The Italy trip had been my idea. I wanted something special. We hadn't traveled together in over a decade, and I thought, stupidly, that it could be a reset. I planned everything. Flights, hotels, day tours. Nearly $30,000, saved over 2 years. I assumed, without anyone ever saying it, that we'd settle up later. Apparently, their plan was to go without me. They decided I wasn't driven enough, that I didn't understand what it meant to build a future. All of it whispered behind my back, then dropped on me like an afterthought. I paid the bill. Of course I did. No one offered to split it. They never do. I left without saying goodbye. When I got home, I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I sat down, opened my laptop, and started canceling everything. Flights, hotels, car rentals, every reservation tied to my name. The system refunded about 80%. $6,000 gone, just for the privilege of not being humiliated across the Atlantic. Then I revoked every linked device. My mom, my dad, my sister. All of them had access to my travel apps. I removed them one by one. Then I blocked their emails entirely. I finished around 3 in the morning. At 5:17 a.m., my brother texted, "We can't board, call the airline." I didn't respond. By 6, I had missed calls from my mom, my dad, my sister. One text from my dad said only, "What did you do?" At 8:10, my phone rang again. I answered. "You're out of the apartment," my dad said. "I want you gone by next week." Then he hung up. I stood there in the quiet, looking around the place I'd called home for 2 years. Technically, theirs. I paid $1,000 a month to live there. Less than market, sure, but with rules, curfews, approved guests, approved furniture, approved temperature settings. Next week. No. I started packing that morning, and for the first time in my life, I wasn't afraid. I wasn't running. I was leaving. I didn't wait for next week. That deadline, be out by next week, was meant to scare me. It was supposed to pull me back into line, remind me who had control, who owned the walls, who could still decide whether I was safe. Instead, it did something else. It made everything simple. I started packing that morning. Not frantically, not with tears or shaking hands. Slowly, deliberately. like I was cataloging a life I was finally allowed to take with me. Every shirt I folded reminded me of where I'd worn it, whose birthday I'd attended, which emergency I'd postponed my own plans for. Every drawer I emptied felt like reclaiming something small but real. By noon, half the kitchen was boxed up. By mid-afternoon, 3 bags of clothes were lined neatly by the door. Around 3 o'clock, I found the listing. A furnished one-bedroom in a quiet part of town. Sunlight in the photos. Neutral walls. Nothing fancy. The owner had taken a job in Canada and needed someone immediately. I messaged him. He called within 10 minutes. We did a quick video tour. No questions about my parents. No raised eyebrows when I said I'd be moving in right away. No, let me check with someone first. I transferred the deposit, signed digitally, and just like that, it was mine. 6 months, no cosigner, no conditions. I sat on the edge of my bed afterward and waited for the panic to hit. It didn't. The next morning, they came over. I was kneeling on the living room floor, taping a box shut, when I heard the knock. I didn't have to check the peephole. I already knew. I opened the door. My mom stood there holding a plastic container of Danish pastries like this was some kind of family brunch. My dad hovered behind her, hands shoved deep into his pockets, eyes fixed on the floor. From inside my mom's purse, I could hear my sister's voice. She was on speaker. "We've been thinking," my mom began, stepping inside without waiting for permission. "Maybe things got a little heated." My dad cleared his throat. "You're clearly emotional right now. We're willing to forgive and move forward." "Forgive." I almost laughed. My sister's voice cut in from the phone. "You're being hostile, Lori. You're blowing up years of family over one mistake." Drama. That word landed differently than the rest. I stood up slowly. "Do you want to hear everything?" I asked. My voice was calm. Too calm. "Or are you just here to make sure I start paying again?" Silence. So I told them. Not loudly, not angrily. I listed it the way you'd read off charges. The loan I took out for my dad's surgery when insurance wouldn't cover it. The rent I paid when my sister's roommate bailed. The trips I canceled because my mom needed me just this once. The savings I drained quietly, year after year, without a single thank you. "You don't get to call that drama now," I said. "You don't get to act confused." My mom shook her head. "You're rewriting history." My dad finally looked up. "Calm down before you burn all your bridges." "Too late," I said. I told them I'd be gone in 2 days, that I didn't need help, that I wasn't coming to Sunday dinner, that I didn't want calls. Then I opened the door and waited. They left. 2 days later, so did I. The apartment was small, a little worn, the cabinets creaked, but the windows let in light and the neighbors didn't know my name. For the first time in years, I could breathe. I didn't leave a forwarding address. I thought that was the end of it. It wasn't. Silence has a sound when you're not used to it. For the first few days after I moved, I kept expecting my phone to light up. A passive-aggressive group text, a lecture about family values, some reminder to take out the trash, even though I didn't live there anymore. Nothing came. At first, it made me uneasy. Then it felt like relief. I filled the quiet slowly. I found a couch on Marketplace that smelled faintly like someone else's life. I set my desk in front of the window because no one told me I couldn't. I bought a used espresso machine even though my dad always said it was a waste of money. Every choice was mine. No hovering, no guilt, no negotiations disguised as concern. A week and a half later, the first email arrived. Subject, please call us, it's urgent. From my mom. I deleted it. An hour later, another one came, this time from my dad. We need to talk. This is important. I muted the thread, but I still checked their social media. My sister's Instagram went quiet. My brother stopped checking in at the gym. And my mom, who normally posted cat memes like clockwork, had gone completely dark. For her, silence was a scream. The third email came from my brother's account. Hey, something happened. Please just call me. I stared at it for a long time. That old reflex stirred, the one they'd trained into me. The idea that silence meant cruelty, that if I didn't fix things, I was the villain. It passed. 2 days later, I found out what had gone wrong. Not from them, from my cousin Derek. Turns out the airline never refunded the tax portion of the non-refundable tickets. The Rome hotel charged a cancellation fee buried deep in the fine print. And the travel insurance I'd purchased? They never filed the claim. None of them had read the policy. Total loss, just under $1,800. It didn't sound like much until Derek kept talking. A big chunk of that loss had been charged to a card my dad was already behind on. The bank froze his account after a missed payment. My sister's tuition reimbursement fell through. Their canceled vacation managed to financially wreck them anyway. That's when the begging started. Voicemails, long pauses, my dad stumbling through apologies that never quite became accountability. My mom crying, saying she didn't know how things had gotten so bad. My sister insisting this had all gone too far. I listened. I didn't reply. Then came the voicemail that changed everything. "If you don't help us now," my mom said, her voice tight with frustration, "you're not our daughter anymore." I played it twice. It was meant to hurt me, to scare me back into place. All I felt was how empty it sounded. 2 months passed. I found a rhythm. Groceries, sleep, peace. I stopped flinching when my phone buzzed. Then, one afternoon, I saw my dad's car drive past my building, but someone else was behind the wheel. My cousin confirmed it later. They'd sold it. What shocked me wasn't the sale. It was how fast everything fell apart once I stopped holding it together. A week after that, my brother showed up at my door. No warning. He walked in, sat down, and said it plainly. They needed help. Savings gone, cards frozen, mortgage 2 months behind. Then he slid a folder across the table. A formal loan request, bullet points, a repayment plan, a contract. 11,000, like we were strangers. I poured him a glass of water, let him talk, let him finish. Then I said one word. No. He stared at me. "If you don't help, this could get really bad." "It already has," I said. He left quietly. That night, my mom left a voicemail. "We didn't mean it when we said you weren't our daughter." I deleted it, because they did mean it. They always did. 3 days after my brother left, my phone buzzed with a notification I hadn't seen in years. Fraud alert. Someone had tried to take out a payday loan in my name, using my old address. The request didn't go through. I'd frozen my credit the moment I moved out. Every detail matched. Social, birth date, employment history. It wasn't a hacker. It was someone who still thought they owned me. I didn't call. I didn't confront anyone. There was nothing left to explain. I filed a report, locked everything down tighter, and went back to my life. That's the part they never understood. Cutting someone off doesn't always come with screaming or slammed doors. Sometimes it's just paperwork. Silence. A locked account. For a few weeks, everything went quiet again. Then my cousin Lena sent me a screenshot. It was my mom's Facebook post. No names, no details. Just a vague, carefully worded paragraph about betrayal and ungrateful children and how God sees everything. The comments flooded in, soft concern, pointed sympathy, guilt wrapped in emojis. Messages started coming in from relatives. "What happened? You need to fix this. She's your mother." I ignored most of them. But when my Uncle Jeff called, I answered. He didn't accuse, he didn't lecture, he just asked what actually happened. So I told him. The Italy trip, the eviction, the years of financial dependence disguised as family love, the attempted payday loan. He didn't interrupt. When I finished, he said quietly, "Jesus Christ, Lori." "They didn't tell us any of that," he added. Later, my cousin Derek told me Jeff had confronted my mom. She tried to spin it, said I was unstable, emotional, but it was too late. Too many details didn't line up. The comments on her post disappeared. Then the post itself vanished. That night, she messaged me. "I hope you're happy. You've turned everyone against us." I replied once. "You did that all by yourself." Then I blocked her. They didn't stop. A few days later, my mom posted again. "He's not well. Please pray for my daughter." She added an old childhood photo in the comments, just to make sure everyone knew it was me. Calls flooded in. Concerned relatives. Some asking if I was using drugs. I laughed when I read them. It was so predictable, it almost felt scripted. Then Cheryl, one of my mom's former coworkers, reached out. She said my mom had been crying at work, telling people I was dangerous, that she might need a restraining order. That one hit harder. I hadn't sent a message. I hadn't shown up. I hadn't even responded. This wasn't about money anymore. It was about control. Then something unexpected happened. Uncle Jeff posted publicly, "Proud of my niece for setting boundaries." Maybe if more of us had done that sooner, things wouldn't be so broken. It spread through the family group chat like a shockwave. People reached out privately, shared stories, apologized. I wasn't the only one they'd hurt. I was just the first one who said no. A week later, my dad sent the final email. "You've embarrassed this family enough. We're blocking you." No apology, no accountability, just one last attempt to feel powerful. I let them go. And for the first time, I felt nothing at all. It's been over a month since that last email. No new messages, no surprise calls, no tension when I check my phone, just quiet. My apartment is still small. The cabinets creak when I open them. The faucet hisses like it's thinking about leaking, but never quite commits. I eat too many frozen dumplings because cooking for one feels unnecessary most nights. And yet I can breathe here. I built a dining table myself, bought the wood secondhand. The screws are slightly crooked, and one leg wobbled until I fixed it with a folded receipt. It isn't perfect, but it stands. That table means more to me than anything I left behind. It's the first thing in my life no one else paid for, no one else approved, no one else claimed. I adopted a cat a few weeks after moving in. Her name is Olive. She's chaotic, knocks things off shelves, and insists on sitting exactly where she shouldn't. But she curls up beside me at night like she's decided I'm hers, and that's enough. I freelance on the side now. I'm finally saving money, and no one else has access to it. No shared passwords, no emergencies, no quiet expectations hiding behind the word family. Some relatives apologized. A cousin told me my story gave her the courage to leave her own toxic home. I didn't know what to say to that. I still don't. People keep asking if I miss my parents. I don't. Not because I hate them, but because I'm done playing the role they wrote for me. The one where love was conditional and loyalty was measured in dollars. Sometimes family isn't forever, not the one you're born into anyway. Sometimes you build your own, out of friends who check in, neighbors who don't ask questions, and a cat who curls up next to you when sleep won't come. I thought I'd feel empty without them. I don't. I'm not chasing what I lost. I'm building what I never had.